Sandown is a town at the southern end of the Isle of Wight. It is rich in history from the Roman period. It was mainly used as an area of salt production in the olden days. In the 19th century, Sandown was used as a military site because of its easy access to invading French troops. Today, Sandown is a British seaside with a bustling town bound in restaurants, shops, tourist attractions, and wildlife sanctuaries. It has busy summers and quiet winters, everything one can expect in a seaside town. But it's definitely not a place one can expect to run into an alien. Faye and her friend were on a vacation with their families near Lake Common in Sandown. Around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they heard a wailing sound, similar to an ambulance siren. They were curious, as children always are, and followed the trail of the sound to reach a swampy area outside Sandown Airport. When they reached it, the noise, however, stopped. They could not let the chance to discover something new escape their hands. They looked around the airport to come across a wooden footbridge. And that is where they saw that thing, the Sandown Clown. Any adult person would have run on their heels at the sight of this weird creature, but they did not. They gasped, ran just 50 yards away from the bridge, and saw it emerge. The figure was not a ghost, or an alien, or a human. It was carrying a microphone with a flex attached to it. They covered their ears when the weird sound came back. Faye's friend, being timid and not wanting to have anything to do with the creature, started running away. Faye followed suit, being unable to decide what to do. However, they stopped running when they heard the figure speaking to them. "Hello! Are you still there?" was what he said. They stopped running. Rather, they approached the figure to talk to him. They were scared, but they went on. The figure was 7 feet tall and had no neck. It appeared to have had its head wedged straight into its shoulders. On its head was a yellow painted hat, bound with a red collar of a green tunic. The top of its hat had a black knob and 2 antennas sticking out from the sides. His eyes were triangular, nose was square and brown, and lips yellow. On his white cheeks was another set of markings. He had red hair. His sleeves and trousers protruded out wooden slats. Faye and her friend spoke to the Sandown Clown. Their conversation was strange. Faye's companion was suspicious about the creature in front of him and seemed to maintain some distance from it. The clown pulled out a notebook and wrote with quivering fingers, "Hello, and I am all colors, Sam." The message seemed weird to Faye, but she continued to move closer to Sam. After that, she started talking to him, but she found it difficult to decipher his words, as his lips did not move while he spoke. The children inquired about his clothes. He said those were the only clothes he owned. "Are you a man?" asked the children. "No." "Are you a ghost?" "Well, not really, but I am in an odd sort of way." "What are you then?" "You know," said Sam, explaining no further. He also said he had no name. He had just taken the name Sam. He drew some people like him he knew for the children in his notebook, and they stared in awe. So, there were more like him, they concluded. Sam looked sad when he told them humans scared him, and he always thought they would attack him. But if they attacked him, he wouldn't fight back. Sam invited Faye and her friend to his house. They accepted it happily. Upon reaching the said house, they discovered it was a windowless metal hut. They went inside the house by crawling through a small flap. Once inside the house, Sam removed his hat and the children saw white ears and sparse brown hair. The house had 2 levels. The ground floor was wallpapered blue-green with a pattern of dials, and it contained an electric heater. The furniture was simple, and the first floor had less room in it, and was metal-floored. They engaged in a conversation where Sam told them he ate berries he collected during the late afternoon. He also told them that the water from the nearby river was safe for drinking after cleaning. The children were curious about how Sam ate. He showed them by placing a berry in his ear and thrust his head forward. The berry disappeared and was seen again in one of his eyes, and in this way, it traveled to his mouth. After 30 minutes of more conversation, Faye and her friend bid Sam farewell and went back to their houses. On June 2, 1973, Faye told about the conversation about Sam to her father, Mr. Y. He was astonished at his daughter's descriptive experience, but just ignored it as her imaginary friend. But one detail she mentioned about Sam got him worried. Sam had 3 fingers and toes on each hand and foot, something like that of an alien. 3 years ago on a Tuesday, on October 20th, 1970, when Mr. Y was on his way to a friend's house from Shanklin to ride, he suddenly saw a large multi-lit aircraft flying low along the River Yar. When he pulled near to observe the strange thing, he saw it had a ring of 7 or more colors, each sphere being clearly defined. When he had had enough of a look at the strange craft, Mr. Y started driving again, but saw it flying parallel to him. He stopped his car, and this time flashed his torch back at the craft. When nothing happened, he got back inside and continued driving. The flying aircraft kept following him till he reached his friend's house. His friend also saw it and said it was playing hide-and-seek between the treetops. When he came out of his friend's house, he saw that the aircraft was gone. Again, after 2 years, on March 1st, 1972, between 9 and 10 o'clock at night, Mr. Y was sitting at the cliffside of Campton Bay, way blocked by the tide. From his location, he could see 2 yellow lights approximately 40 feet away. They seemed to look at him like a sea monster gazing at him. When the tide had gone away, he was released from the stupor. Even though Mr. Y sympathized with Faye, he also had his doubts that she was lying. That Sam's house was never found at the mentioned location did not make Faye's story any more believable. Time went by, but the people never stopped speculating. Some believed Sam was an alien since his story appeared in a UFO journal. This could explain why Mr. Y was connecting his daughter's experience with his own sighting of a UFO. Sam could be human with evil intentions. This theory doesn't really go with how the events went. If Sam really were a human with avid intentions of bringing small children into his house, he wouldn't have let them go back. Also, some believe that his appearance was because of drug or alcohol abuse or mental health issues, and that the children were just exaggerating. Sam could even be a hallucination. Faye told her father later that while they were talking to Sam, 2 workmen were repairing a post there, but did not seem to pay attention to the strange creature, like they couldn't see it at all. And last, Sam could have been the prank of the 2 children. Why? Children often get bored because they don't get the attention they want. To get her father's attention, Faye could have made up the story about Sam. She succeeded, though, because her story got the attention of millions of people.